Welcome to the season of self-love, your daily dose of inspiration and encouragement. I'm your host, Nyomi Banks, and I am thrilled to be here with you today. This podcast is brought to you by Ask Nyomi and Elevate Me Self-Discovery. Are you ready to elevate your mindset and embrace the power of self-love? Well, have you come to the right place? Each day we'll dive into topics that will empower and inspire you on your journey towards self-discovery and personal growth. Whether you're looking to cultivate healthy relationships, boost your confidence, or find balance in your life, this podcast is here to support your every step on the way. We believe that self-love is the foundation of living a fulfilled and joyful life. And together we explore practical tips, insightful interviews, and transformative stories that will leave you feeling inspired and motivated. So join me Monday through Friday as we embark on this daily adventure of self-love. Tune into the Season of Self-Love podcast to start your day on a positive note and discover the limitless potential within yourself. Well,
How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited for this. I'm trying to get into the camera thing. But yeah, I'm excited for this. Because I do have some questions for you, but I'm going to share with you later on what I think about fear. But I also want to hear your different perspective on fear, because I think that you have some little things, some tools, and some little with the FEAR, and I just know it.
Yes. And before we get started, I want to make sure you knew that in the beginning. I couldn't hear you, but I can hear you now.
Okay. We did that again.
Yeah, it happened again. But you came in smooth though when you came in with me, so it's great. So it was good. It was good.
Well, thank you. It always happens on the second one. On our next day, right?
It's always the next day.
It's
I'm
always
happy to be here. This is exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's do this. Let's take a quick
It's
break,
gonna
and
be
then
fun.
when we come back, we're gonna talk about this
Okay.
fear. All right, how we can fuel the fear so it can conquer. All right. It's your girl, the goddess, Nyomi Banks, here on the Season of Self-Love podcast, and we will be right back.
Welcome to the Season of Self-Love podcast with Nyomi Banks, where every day is a chance to embrace self-discovery and personal growth. Join Nyomi on a transformative journey, streaming exclusively on Spotify and Breaker. With daily episodes from Monday through Friday, podcast is your daily dose of inspiration, motivation, and self-love. Dive deep into engaging conversations about self-care, mindfulness, and personal development. Nyomi brings you expert insights, practical tips, and uplifting stories from thought leaders in the field. Embark on a journey of self-discovery and unlock the power of self-love. Mark your calendars and tune in to the Season of Self-Love podcast. Available every weekday on Spotify and Spreaker. Remember, it's time to prioritize yourself and embrace the beautiful season of self-love. Get inspired and join Nyomi Banks on the Season of Self-Love podcast.
Hey, it's Dr. Will with the Washington Wellness Institute. Here at the Institute, we focus on so many different things, but our biggest focus is modernizing how we take mental illness into holistic wellness and making healing a lifestyle. So, if you're interested in taking the next steps, whether it's a clinician, community member, or simply just a friend, sign up today for a 15-minute consultation. You won't regret it. Be kind to yourself and heal always.
All right, well, welcome back. It's your girl, the goddess, Nyomi Banks, here on the Season of Self-Love. And I'm here with our resident therapist, health psychologist, and holistic specialist, and, all of those good things, Dr. Will.
Friendly neighborhood therapist, right?
Yeah,
Friendly neighborhood counselor, right?
And today we are talking about using fear as a fuel and conquering your fears and reaching new heights. So before we truly get into the topic at hand, we start off with grounding, with a great breathing exercise. So this is something that I want to start off with this right now. So I want you to, get yourself, focus and close your eyes and take a breath. And yeah, let's get ready for this. All right, let's begin the guided breathing exercise to center ourselves and harness the energy of fear as we fuel for focus and determination. All right. All right, now close your eyes and gently take a deep inhale through your nose for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold that breath for a moment, feeling the expansion in your chest and belly. Now exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Release any tension or fear with each breath out, all right? So as you continue to breathe deeply, visualize the fear transforming into a powerful energy source within you. Feel it fueling your desire to succeed and achieve your goals. Embrace this energy as a driving force, propelling you to forward with focus and determination. Now inhale deeply again for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Drawing in that energy of fear, turn fuel. I want you to hold it briefly. Now feeling the strength within you, exhale slowly for that count of 6, releasing any doubts or distraction. Now I want you to repeat this breathing cycle for a few more times, and with each breath filling you with a renewed determination and clarity. I want you to let the fear empower you to stay present and focused and committed to your goals. Now when you are ready, gently open your eyes and carry this energized focus with you as we delve deep into the topic of using mindfulness to stay present and driven towards your objectives. All right, my beautiful people. So if you are new to the Season of Self-Love podcast, this is something that we do every day, Monday through Friday. And this is just to help to center us, to get us grounded and prepared for our topic in hand. And yeah, that was deep. That was to get us prepared for, because the word fear.
I needed that today.
Huh?
Thank you. I needed that today. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. It's that word fear is such we fear the word fear. We fear the word fear, and I truly want for us to understand it in a different perspective. That we not only give it power, but we give it a positive power to ourselves. Does that make sense? Yeah. And I love even using the fear as fuel. You know, many times we use fear as, I say for myself, and this is where fear shows up in different disguise in different kind of ways. It come camouflage like a chameleon. Like a chameleon, and it has so many different masks with fear. And trying to figure out or find the way that we can remove that fear mask and look at it in a different perspective for each mask that we have on with that fear. Does that make sense? And I hope I'm not rambling on. You
No, you're not. No. You're what you're doing is creating a structure, like an archetype of this word that we've all created a glass castle out of.
Yeah.
And so you're giving us a grounding structure of how we're going to walk into fear together to explain this. So please continue.
Yeah. You know, so that's I'm glad you said that. That's a good note there. And I'm trying to like say what you was gonna say, because that was good. That was good. But because it does, fear, shows up in so many different ways in like procrastination, anxiety, stress, you like so
happiness, joy, sex.
Yes, because we use it not only as an adjective, but also as a verb. Yeah. Also as a verb. And it's like, let's break it down. Let's break it all the way down and undress it, unpeel it, peel the layers off.
Let's peel it back. Let's start
Yeah,
from the beginning.
yeah, and
Mhm.
let's build on to that to where we can truly look at it in a different perspective. And I want to share this story with you, but I want us to get going into this topic.
I'm not gonna lie. I really want to hear this story, but I
Yeah,
get
you
it.
know,
But I just, uh,
you know what? Because as I'm saying this to you, there is a vision of this conversation that I literally had this morning, and I spoke about it earlier
mhm.
somewhere. And this very beautiful person, all I heard in that conversation was fear, 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 fear. And in every word that this person said, in every scenario that I heard that person say, I saw each mask with fear on it. And this person could not see that it was fear. That person could not see how to use that fear as fuel. And I wanted to go through the phone and grab the mask off this person and
Mhm.
say, look, just look. And I'm about to give you one more thing. Monday, I talked about resilience. I talked about
Mhm.
mastering resilience and turning a setback into a comeback.
Yeah.
And even in resilience, fear comes in resilience too. You understand? So even in resilience for us, a lot of people look resilience as bad. No, resilience is a good thing because what it does is shows our strength of going through a situation that actually we can
Mm.
look back on that moment and take a lesson from that. You know what I'm saying? From that, because in that fear that we go through, it allows us to have courage. Once we get through,
Mm.
does that make sense?
Yeah, I love that. I love the way you see that. I do. Mm. So the fact that you can return back to fear is a very unique concept, and a lot of people never return back to their fears. And that's no one says that. So the way that you mentioned that is very unique. And a lot of people don't see it that way. So I hope that the viewers really like slow down and like really digested how you just spoke of fear in that way. Because not many people have the ability to look back at their fear. They
Yeah,
always think they're always running from it,
yeah.
right?
It's like as we say, embrace, embrace
Mhm.
certain things, and it's like, okay, embrace that fear. Acknowledge
Yeah.
what that fear is to whatever that situation is.
Mhm.
Put a put a picture on it, put a note on it, put a description on it, make it make sense. You know what I'm saying? Put a definition
Mhm.
on what that fear is. And
Right.
once you acknowledge what that fear is, then like, okay, why? Why
Why?
is that? Has it been triggered from a past situation or from someone saying something or what? Or just of the unknowing? You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And it's like, let's not look at it as, let's embrace it because honestly, fear sits back there. And honestly, it ain't going nowhere. So
No,
it's up to
it's not
you.
supposed to.
Right. It's up to you
Mhm.
to allow it to be present in your life the way that you need it to. So why not? Let's try to do it, make it to where it's positive, to where it can fuel us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I the way you empower fear and you learn the fact that you can empower fear to become useful rather than destructive is learning the acceptance that all emotions have the equal opportunity. Your
Yes.
happiness can destroy you just as much as your fear. Your
Yes.
sadness can make you actually stronger.
Yes.
But fear has the ability to either internalize or create
Yeah.
based upon how you see yourself and how you understand the power you have within yourself.
Yeah.
And so Fear makes you have to look at a mirror because it lets you look at the future and it lets you look at the past. And trauma has the same ability to do that. The
Yeah.
difference is the power that you hold within yourself.
Yeah.
And we definitely need to talk about fear and get a little deeper in this and
Yeah.
start from its origins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I ain't gonna lie, I was very excited for this.
I love it because this one's gonna get intense because I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna ask the hard questions that I normally don't ask until the 8th or 9th session of my clients. So I'm gonna go straight to session 8 and 9 with you, and we're gonna talk about this. We're gonna talk about this.
All right, well, let's go. Well,
After
don't
this.
hold back.
Yeah, we can't go back now. It's live. Look, it's live. We recorded. We can't go back.
All right, so let me kick it up. Let me get, since we're gonna be going back and forth. We're gonna be going back and forth. And I see, and
Oh
I'm
yeah.
ready for this. I am so ready for this. So this is my first question to you. How can we begin to see it as a motivator rather than something that holds us back? I know I spoke my piece on what
Mhm.
I is. Now I want to
Yeah.
hear yours.
Yes, of course. First, we have to understand that fear is an instinct. Before it is an emotion, we have to understand that it is an instinct. It is something that is innate in all human beings. We have to have fear as a way of survival. So this is a mechanism, a defense mechanism. This is a instinctual thing we are all born with. Whether you're born with, you have been born with the power of fear because your life needed to live. And so fear is the awareness of the mortality that we have, the fragility that we have, the insecurities that we may have, the vulnerabilities that make us susceptible to the things that might take us away from living. So fear is a natural reaction, it is a natural response, it is a natural defense mechanism, and it is a natural way of life. We change the meaning of fear because of how we've been raised.
Mm,
So
mm,
I'll stop there. I'll stop right
mm,
there for now.
mm. Okay, okay. All right,
Hmm.
it's your turn to ask me a question now.
Okay, right. Look, I'm ready. Look, I got one for you. I got one for you if you want.
I'm
Ooh.
ready. I'm ready. Come
Okay.
with it.
Okay, let's do it.
I'm
So
ready.
so so let me ask you this. What has fear taught you that happiness could never?
What have fear taught me that happiness hasn't? Vulnerability.
Hmm.
And what I say is because we look at happiness as being the ultimate, that's what it
We all
is.
want
So
happiness. We
yeah,
all want it. Yes.
we all
That
want
happiness to be
happiness.
free.
Right. And so we don't go in being vulnerable to it. It's just going in happy, to where in fear, that is a essence of our vulnerability, allowing, and I want to say allowing things to happen, but
Hmm.
knowing and understanding that there is something that's happening there, to where happiness is
Hmm.
more of a completion. Does that make
Right.
sense? Yeah.
Yes. And so fear is the vulnerability that you learned, right?
Hmm.
Who was your first lesson in fear? Where did you
my,
learn it from?
my parents.
So what fear did they pass down to you?
Oh wow, there's so many of them. You want to run around?
I was say pick your top two, and then we can move on. Right.
It's so many. I believe one of the first ones is and I'm gonna go to my why,
Hmm.
is not to question
Hmm.
authority. And what I mean by that, not to question the norm.
Hmm.
And if you do, then you will get punished or you will be outside. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
All
And
right.
how old do you feel when you say that answer?
I'm probably like 4 or 5.
Right. So
Yeah.
think about how that 4 and 5-year-old has to exist right now, presently in this moment, when it's having conversations with people that you don't want to have conversations with relationships that don't want to see you for who you are. And the moment you have to question these other adults, that 4-year-old fear has to step in front in survey, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is fear? What does fear need from you that you haven't allowed it to have yet?
Courage.
Mm, courage.
Courage. And when I say courage, I mean truly authentic courage.
Mm. What does that mean? Break that down. Yeah.
There are
Yeah.
many levels, layers to courage. And
Mm,
and I believe we all have been there to where we have a bit of strength because we kind of know how to, or at least we believe we know how to show up in that moment of fear. So remember the
mm,
mask that I was talking about?
yes.
So there's layers to these masks that we put on. And a part of that is now that me truly being in front of someone real raw, uncut, filled with authentic courage. Even as I'm speaking to you now, that's the first word that came to my mind.
Fear
And I
is
had
the
to
answer to
trust,
courage.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to trust that's what that is.
Mm,
That is the
to
courage.
trust your fear.
Yeah, yeah.
What lets you actually learn to trust your fear? Because a lot of people don't trust their fear, that fear part. What
Just
allowed you to trust your fear?
it's many things. It's just life in general. I believe
Mm,
within my life, I have many lives within this life. Um, the many chapters that I have in my book, especially in my first book, there are times that I've seen where fear has allowed to be my superhero. That fear has allowed me to, and I don't want to say cower down, but cower down to where I allow for my voice to be shut down. Um,
mm,
and so in each one of these instances, I've learned, especially in the past 10 years, is I learned how to maneuver with my fear. Yes, I learned how to
mm,
maneuver with my fear. So when
mm,
I say about courage, that's truly removing all of the different masks from me, all the different layers of me. And I see it like that 4-year-old girl, like
mm.
that 12-year-old girl or that 7-year-old, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I do the work of healing her and understanding that I understand that she will never be completely healed. We will never be completely healed
Mm,
because we are always in the moment healing. We are
yes.
always in the moment of healing.
Yeah.
But what for me, the courage is for me is just to truly be authentically naked. That's it. Like I don't
Mm,
have nothing written down or rehearsed or anything like that. And
mm,
allowing myself to trust my intuition when words just, and I just had this moment right here with you asking me these questions.
yeah. Yeah.
So I
That's so
thank you for
beautiful.
this. I thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just love the way that you understand fear, because a lot of people haven't gotten to that place yet. And so when you think about what's been passed down to you, and then what you may be passing down to your next generation, what is there's still a fear, right? Because they're born with it. And so that your parents, or you have the power to either create this lesson of fear or the unlesson of fear, right? The learning of fear or the unlearning of fear. It's one or the other. And
Yeah.
then they also have their own fear that they've created in their own lives.
Yeah.
And so fear is such a contagious development. And we don't recognize the amount of fear we may put into others' lives simply by
Mhm.
just existing the way we do. You being a successful Black woman in this way, learning yourself, learning your body, learning to rest, learning to exist, learning to have your own opinion, learning to have your own heart, that invokes fear into weak men,
Mhm.
into supremacist minded men and people. And the fact that that is something that your existence provides fear.
Mhm.
And for you, that's just self-love.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's interesting that fear is only a reflection of our own hidden truths.
Mhm.
And so when you recognize yourself, fear is not bad nor good. It is truly its own emotion, no different than
Mhm.
joy, happiness, sadness. And so I'm curious, how do you breathe in fear and how do you exhale fear?
You know, I think about my girls, and I think about me carrying them in a sense of fear. And so
Mm,
in that process of me understanding how they marinated, and it's gonna sound so messed up that they marinated in me for the 8, 9 months or whatever that they were in there. Um,
mm,
now is that was the breathing, that's the breathing in and knowing and acknowledging what that is. The breathing out and an exhale is to know that I have time to help them to understand that fear is not their enemy because I am active
mm.
doing my work.
Yeah.
And I understand because my mom is, I'm blessed to still have my mom alive. And at a moment, my grandmother was here. So we had, well, four generations. 1, 2, 3, 4. I hope I'm saying it right. We had four generations that was
Mhm.
with us of women that was in, in our life. Now my
Yeah.
grandmother's no longer here, but we still have that generation. Well, actually five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And
Yeah.
I know now what my responsibility is. So remember when I told you about when you asked me that question about where was the first place or the first thing that caused me
First
with my
memory, yeah.
fear? And I said it was my parents. I still see
Mm.
the fear in my mom, you know,
Yes.
even at 73 years old, I see the fear so embedded in her. I want to just take and hug that little girl who is so
Mhm.
fearful of everything. And so what I've learned to in this, and I hope that I don't lose nobody, within the fear, I've learned several different things. Control is fear. So what I've learned
Mm.
is to remove the control, the part of the fear that knowing that I cannot control anyone. So in that
Mm.
knowledge is me able to work on me. So not me what I speak out of my mouth, but what I show. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm. And 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 just being able to hear you say this, it brings up my question of when do you know your fear is enough? Because a lot of us can't turn off our fear, or we feel like we don't know how to turn it off our fear, or we feel
That's
victim to the moment.
right. That's something that I'm truly actively working on. One thing that I know is that I'm aware when it happens. I acknowledge it and I sit in it
Mm.
for a minute. I give it respect for that moment and then I check myself and I go back. So my checking
Mm.
myself might not be checking as everybody else. I mean, you check it, that's negative. No, for me,
Mm.
that's what I need for me because that's my language, and I check and I adjust and
Mm.
move, from
Yeah.
there. You know what I mean?
Mm.
What I understand being a recovering perfectionist, I understand where I get that from. I get that's what's that saying? The apple doesn't fall far from a tree. And my mother
Yeah.
was a perfectionist. Still to this very moment, she is.
Mhm.
Um, and I know that any moment of the minute or the day, that perfectionist can turn right back on, which is
Mm-hmm.
another definition of fear.
It is. And that was my next point, is that fear is such a tricky expression because it turns into complexes.
Yes.
It turns into cognitive distortions, the all or nothing, the
Yeah.
perfectionist, the self-defeat, the self-sabotage, right? The self-visioner, the self-absorbed,
Yes.
right? It's a lot, the narcissist that we talk about so often, right? There's a fear of losing the control, the identity, the promise, the security, the thought of peace, not the idea of peace more than the actual peace itself,
Yeah.
right? The pursuit of happiness rather than the statement of joy,
Yeah.
right? We pursue happiness out of the thought of fear rather than the meaning of joy itself, right?
Yes.
Happiness is external, joy is
Yeah.
internal,
Yeah.
right? Fear has that ability to transform us into
Mm-hmm.
the thing we think we should be or the thing we thought we should have been.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, fear has a very strong connection with regret.
Mm,
The shoulda, woulda, coulda lives,
mm-hmm.
right? I shoulda, I coulda, I would have done this.
Yeah.
And because of that, because we didn't resolve, fear is saying, well, you have to live, you got to keep this going. To live, you
Right.
have to keep going on, or else, or
Mm-hmm.
else. If you don't get this right, or else,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's always the fear of what you won't have in the
Right.
future,
Yeah.
right? Or because of this, now we can't do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Was that a lesson or was that a condition,
Mm.
right? Right?
Mm.
Is that a lesson or a conditioning that you learned?
Oh, so as you say that, and whoo, so as you say that, and let me tell you a little bit of my pattern where fear, and I'm just going over because this is a
Hmm.
part of your personal thing. But since you asked me these questions, I'm gonna go ahead.
Yeah.
So for me, personal fear shows up in the aspect of this. I remember when I retired from the adult industry, and had I created a company. I created different companies, and I was be in that company for a certain amount of time. And if it wasn't giving me the financial gain or the validation of it, because I wanted people to see me differently than
Hmm.
Naomi Banks with the triple X. Now I
Right.
wanted them to see me as Naomi Banks, the money, the business minded, who I
Right.
was before I even got into the industry. That was one fear. The second one was that once those things did not happen quick enough for me, for validations from others, I ran.
Hmm.
Meaning that, okay, I put that down and then I pick up something else. Then I put that down, then I pick up something else.
Right.
I picked that down and picked up something
Hmm.
else.
Hmm.
But even in the process of all of those happening, I've had success.
Mm.
I've had
Hmm.
success. This is what I used to think, and you might say, for real, I said there is no ceiling to my success.
Mm. Ah. See. Ooh. Ooh.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Mm.
And so let me say this. And when I used to say it when I was younger, I used to say I'm a multi-billion-dollar company walking around here. And I worked as such. I like,
Tirelessly. Yes.
let me tell you something. Basketball and track, jumping and running, shooting and running,
Hmm.
sprinting. You understand what I'm saying?
Hmm. On the go.
Yes, 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 yes. And probably within these past, I'm gonna say 5 years, I've learned to understand, okay, you can't do that no more because
Mm.
you're not satisfied. Now
Mm.
you understand what your Because before I didn't even know what my satisfaction was.
Right.
So even me having that, there is no ceiling to my success, that's telling me I don't have I don't know what my satisfaction is. Does that make sense?
Which goes back to my statement of when is your fear ever enough?
And like I said, that's something different.
What's that? Ooh.
And I'm
Ooh.
actively working on it because
Yeah.
before I probably will beat myself up. Now it's like these are lessons that I'm jotting down like this, like, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that I'm like, yeah, this shit is it. This is what I'm talking about. Like,
This is what it is.
this is what it is. Yeah. And it's like new stuff that you haven't learned. I can sit on somebody's couch and they will not give me this shit. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. But
no, say that.
to me like this.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I'm just happy that, and this is where I'm talking to that little 4-year-old girl and say, I am so proud of you because you did allow yourself to remove part of those masks out so you can create a platform like this, regardless to what anybody says about you. That you still are standing in sitting in it, but you also being real and authentic with it.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? So in that, in that is, even me saying that's because I'm a very humble person, but in that moment, just right now, in real and raw time, I just given thanks to that little girl. To let her know, you see, girl, you're a bad mother. You've always been goddess. You know what I mean? And I look at her and I see her. And if I showed you a picture of her at 2 years old, with the wig on for Halloween, and I have her on my mirror. That is part of my mirror exercise that I do. And I say, I thank her. I thank her for times showing up when I, as this age, whatever age that I was, could not show up. You understand what I'm saying? But also, I would never. What I've learned is that I can never be ashamed or angry at those little girls or that teenager or whatever like that, because those are moments that I needed. And why those are moments that I needed, because that is what built the woman, the goddess, the character that I am today. And I understand that. So, and even with the fear, that's why I'm so happy that we are doing this, because I do understand that I might not know it today, tomorrow, but I'm actively wanting to learn and learn it in a different aspect to better help me. So not only am I able to help my children, but also so our listeners can hear this conversation and be able to go in the mirror and look at themselves, but also be able to change that perspective for their children. And it ain't nothing but a domino effect that goes through. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes. And a lot of times that fear is usually connected to another face that has got nothing to do with you. A lot of our fear has something to do with somebody else doing something else on to you, at you, and you're making it. It's always so externalized. It's never internalized.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that our fear is so externalized that because of it's so out of us, we take parts of it and empower those distorted parts and take those parts in us and let those grow inside of us. And those are emotional malignancies. Those things, those emotions stay in you and they grow, and it covers other places of your body, of your mind, of the things that you do. And that's what creates that self-sabotaging behavior and that self-defeating mindset and the inability to make those visualizations and the inability to connect with yourself. Those are blockages of things that you learned that are outside of you and never was inside of you.
Yeah.
And it trickles down so much.
Yeah.
So like that's amazing that you can say that in that little girl. You can say that, you can stand on that and be like, you can't take anything from me because I earned this.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, yeah. And
Yeah.
wait, one more thing you said about that. One more thing you said. You said that I'm a really humble person. I have to acknowledge that when you say that you're a humble person, you're not saying that you're a humble person. What you're saying is that I acknowledge that it took work to be who I am. And I hope you respect the work that I did to be
Mm,
who I am. That's what makes me a humble person, is I acknowledge the work it took. I know it didn't happen overnight.
right.
So I want to make sure that the way you look at being humble is in a respectful place for yourself as well.
Yeah. It
Because
is.
because, because that fear will take that away, the hard work that you actually did. And it'll
Yeah.
minimize and rationalize those nights that when they think you're just here doing your thing, being a goddess. It's like, no, I was up while you were sleeping. I was working when you were sleeping. I
Yeah.
woke up when you were sleeping. I was working when you were sleeping. Let's
Hmm.
believe that.
Yeah.
I had to get sick to take my rest, right? I had to get sick to take my rest. Y'all don't understand. I had my breaks happened because I got sick, not because I wanted to, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Those moments. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Thank you for that, because that's true. What humble used to mean to me before that was that, and Mo said it, Mo the goddess said it before, and it was this quote that she said is that, oh my God, what's that quote? About fitting into the world. By where did she fit
Mm,
into the world of being able to outshine in the world? It was something in that in that case.
mm-hmm.
And I think we talked about this before, where my mom, her description of me is high maintenance. And my dad description of me was a big head.
Mm-hmm.
And all of these are description of someone who is very confident in themselves, um, very proudful, and doing things differently than what you see everybody else doing. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so, but me hearing that and seeing treatment of that, I kind of came down some. Now people say, no, you was still what? Yeah, I was still, but I still had to bring myself
You
back because
moderated it. You
yeah,
monitored yourself more than you should have.
yeah,
Right. Mm-hmm.
because I wanted to be loved unconditionally by them with no
Yes.
condition, just like with no condition.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying?
That makes so
And
much sense.
yeah, and for that, uh, and it comes back to not knowing how to self-love.
Yes. And it, even further back, it's they had fear on how to handle
Yeah,
or accept someone that they couldn't allow themselves to be.
yeah,
And so they had to contain and be conditional because they didn't understand how their fear of what to do would be enough
yeah,
for who you were trying to be for yourself.
yeah,
Because they didn't know what you could have been. They were loving you in the fear of what they had to do.
yeah, yeah, and yeah. That I totally receive that, but and even when we speak
Mm-hmm.
in this moment, the one thing is that I come to understand is that they didn't know any better, and that's the truth. They didn't.
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
didn't. And even in this big age right now, unfortunately, my father wasn't able to make this age, but my mom is, and I still see
Mm-hmm.
it. You understand what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
still, see it. But for me, that's a blessing for me because I do know better now. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
actively changing that scenario where my girls, they see it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I hear the conversations of the 11-year-old and the questions that she asks, and then my 21-year-old that she asks, and then my 31-year-old, and she asks that
Uh-huh.
question, so it's like boom, boom,
Right.
boom, and they see it, and and they like, okay,
Right.
we good. And I understand that, but still, but I still have a lot of work to do. And instead of me
Mm-hmm.
always talking, I listen to them and I show
Mm-hmm.
them now. I do more showing than I do talking now.
Yes. And that is a level of confidence, self-love, and just wisdom
Mm-hmm.
that you're living. You're living your wisdom and a lot of fear. When you can conquer that fear, you actually live in the wisdom.
Yeah.
And a lot of us, you know, we don't get to be wise because we're trying so hard. But when you learn how to conquer that and you have the courage to conquer your fear, you learn that that courage becomes your wisdom.
Yeah.
And you don't have to move as deep. You don't have to move as hard or as fast. You move when you need to. You move as you want to. And it doesn't affect anything around you other than yourself.
Yeah.
You realize how detached you are from that world you tried to fit in. And you recognize you can honor that rather than get away from it. You can actually honor the world that you don't fit in
Yeah.
rather than trying to adjust it and make a structure to fit it, you
Yeah.
know. So that's
Yeah.
beautiful that you can recognize that.
Yeah, I can recognize it. I
Yeah.
can recognize it.
Oh
And
yeah.
as you was saying that, I was like, yeah, I do recognize it. Now I have to put that in motion. I have to learn how to put it in motion. And what I mean by motion is that I feel it. I feel that sting. I feel that
Mhm.
it's like a drug addict. If you don't have
Yeah.
it, you need something and
Yes.
something going on. And I'm now understanding how to detox that. So it's like
Mm.
really detoxing it and understanding that I have to take it moment by moment, that I have to take it day by day and be okay with that.
And be
So
okay with
that
that.
even,
Yes.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
and that's the thing with me. So even when I spoke about the courage thing in the beginning, and God, I just have to say this, and I have to say this to it again, and it might sound very, no, I'm just gonna say it. Thank you again for this, because I truly trusted my intuition in answering those questions that you asked me.
Mhm.
And girl, you did that shit.
And as a steel and as your steel friend, I trusted myself to ask you these questions.
Yeah,
I didn't trust you. I trusted myself to ask you those
yes,
questions. I wasn't worried about your response. I wasn't worried about how you would feel. I was worried about how I said the questions to make sure that I was okay.
yeah,
Because I know that you're going to make sure you're okay because you do what you do.
yeah,
I trusted who I'm going to be, and I know that it was going to work because we're aligned.
yeah. Wow, my people,
You
y'all
did that.
just saw something, just felt something in real.
Yes. It's real. It's real.
Okay, Dr. Real, let me get up off this couch.
Like hands, hands, hands.
This was good. See, we need to take a break.
Right. I was like, we just did 50 minutes straight. Ooh, we did a TED talk. oh, oh my God.
Oh no, this was good.
Yeah.
We just don't know what this. See, this is something that we truly got to break it all the way down again with.
Yeah. We start from the origin all the way to the personal,
Yeah,
from the beginning to the heart, from
yeah,
the beginning to the heart.
yeah. That was good. That felt. I mean, when I say that felt good, that felt so good, because it was just like I
Yes.
was there, and it just popped in there, and it's just like, oh,
Yeah. You
oh,
can reach back, but you know how to reach back. Like that's a strength you have. Like Naomi, you can reach back. And when you have fear, fear will not let you reach back
mhm,
because they don't know what's gonna pop out and they don't have control over that. And that fear will block you. It'll be an impasse. It'll be a shadowing. It'll be a lot of doubt. And you were able to reach back and bring it up.
yeah,
Come on. Like that's phenomenal.
yeah.
That's
You know
phenomenal.
I've been on screen butt ass naked doing the most horrendous things in
Mm-hmm.
people's eyes. There is nothing else that I can hide.
Yes.
I understand why that was a part of my journey. And if people really say like, damn, she just
Mm-hmm.
kept in that shit all, just in that,
They really understood. If they understood what that really meant,
yeah,
right? Like the power in that.
yeah.
What else can you can't when you realize you can't take anything else, they're like, oh, I have to just accept you. You could have done that before you saw the video.
Mm-hmm.
What made you have the fear of not wanting to accept me?
Mm-hmm.
What were you going through? Now you
Yeah,
got to answer your own questions. It's not about me anymore. Those are your questions because of your fear.
yeah. What did I trigger? Like, what's going on with you? It's
Right.
crazy. I had did a show and we were talking about, one of the questions was about my purpose and
Mm,
about, I was talking about how I no longer was doing OnlyFans because I no longer seen a purpose of me continuing to do OnlyFans, and that
mhm,
a part of my purpose of getting into the industry and my why was is because to help my parents financially, because my dad had to be on had 24-hour care, and I didn't want to leave
mhm,
California because I knew that what I was there to do. I was there as a writer, a
right.
producer, like that was my thing.
Mhm,
I
yeah.
just went going through a divorce, and so it was kind of finding my footing outside of my family in Chicago to try, you know what I'm
Mhm,
saying? And
yeah. A
when
lot
I
of
did get
transitions.
that phone call, yeah, when I did get that phone call, you know, usually it'd be like, okay, go back.
Mhm,
Go back because they need you there. And I'm like, no, there's a way that I'm able to help my parents here. Let me figure
mhm,
this out. Then there was things that came to me and stuff like that. And that was my choice. That was my why on me getting to that. So that was my
mm,
purpose. That was my purpose then, not knowing that when I got in there and I'm meeting all of these people and I'm sitting there with these people on these sets and I'm talking to them. Like, I'm talking to them and the conversations that I had with a lot of these people off camera, on my phone, sharing their most intimate things that are happening to me. They don't know me from Jack, but they're sharing these things with me. And
mhm,
I'm like, wow, is this where I'm supposed to be?
right. They saw you owning yourself. They wanted to be able to own themselves, right?
Yeah,
And when they realized they couldn't, what do I do?
yeah,
I'm lost. I don't know how,
yeah,
why can't I,
yeah,
right? And your foundation is the why.
yeah. You know
You're
what?
reminding why. Mm,
Yeah. And you know what? That's you say my foundation. Yes, it is. But let me tell you something. Even when I sit here right now and I think about my foundation is the why, and I am so blessed that I had that foundation because that is what have been my strength, is my support system.
mm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hmm.
The support system, and and I must say that people come to you because you are reliable. Doesn't always mean they should always use you, but it definitely means that you are reliable. And when you earn that badge of reliability, they're gonna be curious.
Yeah.
They're gonna look at everything about you.
Yeah.
And the thing is that you're truly a light, because the truth is that you've went through your own fire.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
and people have not been through their own fire. And so they're like watching like, well, you going through your, oh wow, like, okay, this is what you came out to be in your fire. Why can't I do that?
But you can if you stop looking at the messenger. That part.
Woo! That part. Period. Woo. Yeah. And I gotta say that fear is such it's conniving spirit,
Yeah.
conniving part. If you don't take the time to slow down,
Yeah.
remember sit, slow down, interview, internalize, talk it out. Because a lot of times when you don't talk out the fear, you become it,
Mm.
right? And the more you tell your story, the less you become of it. That's one of my
Yeah.
rules. The more you tell your story, the less you become of it. And the
Mhm.
story of your fear, if you cannot tell the story of your fear, you will become it.
Yeah. 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 I put that stamp on that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Look, we didn't
Yeah.
even get to the second segment. We didn't even get through the first one.
Right.
But that's great though. It is. It's man, it's amazing. It truly is. I just had my first session. Really, I'm gonna go like this is my first session ever with a therapist.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is that I knew you could handle the session 8-9 because learning you, I've been learning the way you speak. I've been learning the way you feel. I've been learning the way you think. I've been learning the way you sit. I learned the way you hold space. I learned how you make containers. And I knew asking you those questions would only empower the things that you've been working on.
Yeah.
My
It
my
did.
my, my
Thank you.
goal here is a catalyst, right?
Yeah.
I'm a catalyst to who you are, right? Especially being your steel friend. That's what we
Thank
do
you,
for each
my
other.
steel friend. We have to get some
Yeah.
t-shirts.
Right. Steel only. Right. Steel friend. I love that.
Like
But yeah, but you did so beautifully. And that's you made the seeds by experiencing your rawness. You created seeds for other people.
yeah. Yeah, I
And that's
choose
that's a, that's a gift.
yeah. That's what life is all about. It really is. I think we get caught up in so many different things that we don't understand that we're truly put here on earth to truly love and serve one another. Help to
Yes.
build um, a world full of beautiful spirits and souls that we all can just love each other in our difference.
Yes. Mm, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. You have so much to do. I'm letting you know that you have so much to do, and you've done so much, and I'm just so excited to be a witness of you.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to be a
Man,
witness of
thank
you.
you. And really thank you for this. Thank you for because it was like another door open, another light was turned on. Like I'm telling you, that would be like, go give me a glass of wine.
Right. Give me a cab. Give me a cab.
Thank you for that. That was so woo. That was that
Mhm.
was something. That was something. And I truly, we are so sorry because we just forget that we were even on. We are on the Season of Self-Love podcast, and I am Nyomi Banks, and that is Dr. Will, your neighborhood therapist. We just having our own little conversation here, and y'all just like a third wheel or a fifth wheel or whatever, just looking in and listening. You know, when you had to look up on the door like
You a
this.
third, look, you a third pair. You a third pair of ears.
Wondering like, what she said?
Right.
What he said? Yeah. Mm-mm. But this was amazing. I just like woo, this is
Mhm.
good. We got to come back to this again, and it's just have to
Yeah.
be like truly, broken down. Is there any last words that you have to say?
I would say the questions that I asked, I hope when they listen, they write them down and they give them to themselves because they will go through their own process and then write up the responses, how it went for them. And maybe they can respond back to you and kind of we can process that. Now, we can always process other people's answers because you went through that. So, so they can come back and contact you and talk to you about it.
All right, that's what I'm talking about. That is what I'm talking about. My beautiful people, I want to thank you all so much for just, standing in this space with us and just witnessing this conversation, witnessing what happened in this moment. And my prayer is that you felt it, that you was able to feel it through, whether you are watching it or whether you are hearing it on a podcast, that you truly felt what this is. Not only was it the fear being used as fuel and conquering my fears, but also it is a part of the growing of self-love. It truly is. And I want y'all to know how important self-love is. It's about having that intimate relationship with yourself.
Yes.
It's about falling in love with yourself, finding out who you are. And what I said the beginning of this year is that this is a year to dominate in every aspect of our lives. I was not lying. Now, I didn't know how we were going to do it, but I prayed about it. I asked for help. I asked for assistance. And I allowed myself to be open to receive it. Yeah. And so I ask that you all do the same thing. So whatever it is that you're working on, do that. Do that. Again, I thank you for sharing this space with me and Dr. Will. Again, it's been an amazing, as always, it's so amazing to share this space with you, Dr. Will. Like, really.
It is. It's a blessing, truly.
Yeah. Y'all tell folks. Tell them. Don't just have this sitting here and just going to waste. It's so much food in here. It's so much nourishing in the season of self-love. Is forever healing. Forever healing. Always healing, as Dr. Will will say. Always.
Yes.
Yeah. Always healing. All right, my beautiful people. As I always say, be good to one another in yourselves and always keep it sexy. I'll see you all tomorrow. Have a good one. Thank you for listening to the Season of Self-Love podcast. If you have any questions or would like to connect with us, you can follow us on social media. Just search for the Season of Self-Love on Instagram. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, feel free to email us at elevateme9999@gmail.com. And remember, you are worthy of love, growth, and happiness. So keep shining bright, and I'll see you tomorrow for another episode of the Season of Self-Love. Be good to one another, in yourselves, and always keep it sexy. Send the light, love, and prayers.